When Myanmar's military took power on February 1st, 29-year-old peace activist Thinzar Shunlei Yi became one of the key voices leading the resistance. The daughter of a military officer, she had grown up to challenge the military's ideology and had already gained international recognition for her peace activism before the coup took place. When last spring's protests were brutally repressed, Thinzar Shunlei Yi fled her home and went into hiding. She has continued, though, to speak out against the military regime, and she tells her story in a new book co-authored with French journalist Guillaume Pajot that comes out in France next month. We are honored to have her as today's perspective guest. Thinzar Shunlei Yi, thank you so much for speaking to us here on France 24. I want to just start with some recent breaking news we've just gotten about Myanmar. The military has said that they will release over 5,000 people who have been jailed since the start of the coup. What's your reaction to that gesture?
Thank you for having me first. So today marks 260 days after the coup attempt, because we call it coup attempt because the coup that the plan is still a failure. And within the 260 days, they have managed to kill more than 1,180 people, civilians and uncivilian, and 50% of them are young people. And they have already arrested more than 9,000 people. And now today they released the news that they are going to release more than 5,000 people. Like they will drop charges, they will release political prisoners. And that is happening only after the ASEAN's leader have dismissed that they're not going to invite the junta leader. So we can say that the international pressure is actually working if they actually act on what they are supposed to do.
And Thinzar, the military junta responded to ASEAN's decision in part with this announcement. They also said the opposition is provoking and committing violence. What do you think of those accusations?
The military junta, basically, since 70 years ago, they've been intruding in different territories of the ethnic minorities. Since 70 years ago, they recently committed genocide against the Rohingya population 4 years ago. And none of the perpetrators being held accountable yet. And now they are committing crimes against humanity and war crimes across the whole nation. So it's so super clear it's that who is the actual violence committer and the terrorist organization. So we don't have any objections that they are actually a terrorist organization.
That you were raised in a military family. Your father is an officer in the Burmese army. Could you tell us how you grew up to become a peace activist?
I lived inside the military unit for more than 16 years. So I was living under the military propagandas and also. So when I actually came out of the military unit, everything was a new world to me because I've never learned the stories from the another side. So that was a hard journey for me. Within this past 10 years, I got a chance to learn about democracy and human rights. Also, I met a lot of people who have told me different stories of their struggle, and I was so ashamed of the institution that I lived inside, and so I felt like I'm in a privileged position as the Burmese, as a majority ethnicity, and someone from inside military. So I'm more responsible to speak up against the military institution. So that's how I became activist, full-time activist against the military supremacy inside the country.
And this is maybe a bit of a personal question, but would you mind talking about how your decision to become an activist has impacted your relationship with your family and with your father in particular?
Basically, when I started speaking out against the military behaviors and action in different ethnic minorities, I always try to explain to my relative and my family. First, they don't agree with me. Of course, we had a lot of argument, disputes, tears. I've been crying, sort of thing, arguing with my own parents, my own grandparents, and so on. Even I broke a relationship with some of my key friends. I live with only with friends from military families, right? So, but obviously, family members. I also have a new relationship with other different friends from different minority. So it's been a hard journey for me, but I think it's worth it. Now people learn about the brutalities the military being committed for the past 7 decades.
And despite leaving your home and going into hiding, you're continuing to speak to international media like France 24. Is that not a huge risk for you?
Basically, I'm taking this risk since I can imagine since 10 years ago. I started speaking out against. I got a lot of attack online and offline from my own family and from my friends, from the military. Also, when I spoke against the genocide in past 5 years, I got attacked from the government I voted for as well. So attack, the risks, nothing new to me. Many people being killed almost every day on the ground. Even today, this morning, the military junta tracks ran into the strike. They arrested 10 young people. We don't know the casualties yet. So it's happening on the ground. The risk I'm taking is nothing compared to the people suffering on the ground. So I'm now talking using this privilege of my language, the ability to access internet, ability to access to you. So this is a less defense.
And you've said that you felt disappointed by that former government led by Aung San Suu Kyi. Can you talk about why that is?
It was such a heartbreaking, years for me in the past 5 years. I started speaking up against the Aung San Suu Kyi and the previous government decision, poor management and decision over the minorities areas and also to the Rohingya population. Basically, because I became a human rights defender. So once the government commit crimes or make a poor decision violating human rights, especially freedom of expression, I voice out against any of them. Despite it is Aung San Suu Kyi or whoever it is. At the same time, in the past 3 years, I was charged because I organized a protest in solidarity with the Kachin population in the northern Kachin state. So I raised voices on behalf of the trapped IDPs, internally displaced people in the northern areas, and I got charged by the previous government. I faced trial for 3 years, and also I advocated against different violations of laws, enforcement, and amendment in the parliament.
Right, Thinzar Shunlei Yi, I'm so sorry, we're going to have to leave it there, but thank you very much for your bravery and for what everyone's been going through in Myanmar, and thank you very much for speaking with us here on France 24.